exits for Position. Goes around the outside, it's in his team.
Qualified.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Barely Qualified, a Formula One podcast. We are coming to you today via Discord. Since LA has flooded, we're staying off the streets. We're your hosts. I'm Channing Apodaca. That is Brandon Wood. He salutes.
Yo.
Hopefully that makes the edit. Today we're going to be going over all 10 team car launches have officially happened. We're going to be discussing that. We're going to be talking about the liveries. We're going to talk about some changes that some teams have made and some non-changes.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of hidden secrets happening. Maybe some secret plans in the works. You know, a lot of renderings that we saw didn't have complete details on them. So, some mystery still out there.
Potentially some sandbagging. Some sandbagging happening like we saw in the previous years. So let's get it.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
Sandbagging is like a pretty heavy allegation. I think
misdirect.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's really hard to gauge we're actually going to see round one, because through testing things are going to change. They're going to be throwing a lot of different things at the car. So, it could be said what we've seen so far is not anywhere close to what we're going to see round one. But it's at least a little bit of a sign of what's being forecasted for this year. So,
gotcha.
What we have to go off of. It should be noted that this is a big year because with 2026 regulations coming next year, there's not going to be a lot of changes to be made because teams are going to be focusing on 2026. So this year's car, there's a lot at stake here for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, this is kind of your final run with this concept of a car, this whole era of Formula One. So our team's going to throw everything they have at it, or are they going to put all their eggs into the basket of the new regulations? We'll see. I want to say I've never been less excited for car launches than I was this season. For a couple different reasons. One, there was so much other shit going on with Lewis and contract talks and teams coming and going, team names, which we're going to get into. And then allegations, all sorts of different shit. But also just knowing what teams have done, especially the big teams, what they've done with their liveries in the past few years, which is basically dick. They haven't done anything exciting. They haven't taken any artistic endeavors. They haven't outreached fucking, I don't even know how to put that. They haven't done anything, basically. Red Bull's design hasn't really changed. McLaren's design hasn't really changed. Ferrari, all of them basically are the exact same, but there are some exciting ones. Let's get into the launches first. So who went first? It was Haas, right?
Well, technically, Haas was intending to be first, but McLaren, I think, surprised everybody when they did a town hall at their MTC facility out there, and when they had their little press conference going on, Zach Brown surprised everybody by taking them down to the auditorium where they had the 2024 livery available for everybody to see. So it wasn't exactly the car design, but they were the first technically to reveal their livery, and it kind of ruined the moment for Haas, who
that was funny.
The season really wanted to capture that, being the first person out there, because it looks like they're way behind everybody else coming into this year, and they were very vocal about that.
They, meaning their new team principal, Io, straight up said he expects to be in 10th place coming out of Bahrain, round one and in testing, right? He's already like, we're going to be behind the 8 ball, which, hey, great hire there, Gene. Great hire. Good job. Really shuffling the deck chairs. The livery, as it stands right now, which I don't expect them to change. Again, it's exactly basically the same concept that they did last year, black and white with some MoneyGram red. It looks good. I like black on a car. I'm getting a little bit over it because all it means is that it's carbon fiber and not an actual paint job, because teams are trying to save every ounce that they can in weight by not putting any paint on the cars. And if any car needs it, it should be this. The Haas might as well just be pure black with no numbers, no names, no sponsorship, no nothing. They need every split second that they can get. It is a sexy car, black, white, and red. You kind of can't go wrong. Classic traditional colors, but not really straying from the design last year. So, Haas, thanks for playing.
Yeah, and then with the technical changes, last year they had the big upgrade going into Coda, which they thought was going to be helping them turn their season around and fix their degradation issues, and it didn't seem to do anything. If anything, went backwards.
Over one lap, it did. They look good over one lap, which is the crux. I don't know if you saw, during the Haas car launch, Charles Leclerc went live on Instagram.
Did he?
And completely disrupted their launch, too, because F1 fans were watching their launch and then also going, well, wait, why is Charles Leclerc going live? What's going on here? Because there's there's a little bit of ties between Ferrari and Haas. Maybe that he would have something to do with it, but I think he was just streaming on Twitch or something.
Yeah, he's just on a walk.
Yeah, dude, just such a forgotten team.
A cool bird he found or something.
Just playing his new Sonata. Sonnet, what is it? I don't know. What is it? What do you call music?
Yeah, a Sonata.
Sonata. There you go. He's just driving around in a Hyundai Sonata. All right. Moving on to who next? Williams?
Yeah, I mean, livery wasn't a whole lot new there, but the thing I'm looking forward to most is that they're actually going to have a new floor this year.
Not only are they getting a new floor, they also got a new steering wheel. Did you know that?
Ooh.
Yeah, they upgraded from the old school no LED screen to a full modern day F1 steering wheel. They used to have the butterfly with the digital control that was looked like a cheap old early mid 2000s AM FM radio to a brand new modern day steering wheel. So maybe they got a little bit more money, some of that Duracell power, huh?
Hey, coming up in the world.
But yeah, new floor. If they can keep that shit grounded and not only have their high speed and also get, some nice downforce coming from that floor, Williams might be surprising some people this season.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting too much with the livery change. No,
it's a little bit darker.
Everyone wants to kind of stick with with legacy, it seems like. So except for should we get to Steak, a Sauber team?
Let's save them. I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot to say about it other than the livery, but let's do Alpine next. So Alpine, also a team that just said screw paint. This car is it's black with touches of pink and blue. I do think it looks cool, but I want a very colorful grid. I've been saying that for years. I miss the 2017, 2018, 2019 years where you had the silver car, the red car, the blue car, the yellow car, the pink car. Everything was discerned by color. You knew who everybody was based on that. Now it's so much black and everything's blocky or paint jobs are flowing in and out. I like my grid to look like a Crayola crayon box. So this is basically a black car with pink and blue highlights. I don't notice much in the way of design for their car.
Yeah, and technically, I don't really know what to expect. I think, Renault as a works team has been struggling for quite a while, and I haven't really seen a whole lot. I mean, they've been kind of the headless chicken running around since last year when Otmar got fired.
Yeah.
Seemingly. So I don't really know what the organization, the team is looking like. I know the look on Esteban and Pierre's face when they saw the car. They didn't seem too thrilled. So,
I mean, those are two of the most personality-less guys in F1 also. The only way you can get a rise out of Esteban Ocon is by talking about Spider-Man, Spideyverse with him, and then he's going to show his two big, giant front teeth. Other than that, that dude just grins and nods his head. So I don't think you're going to get a whole lot out of those dudes. But maybe with this new brain trust at the helm, the Wrexham boys, McElhaney, Ryan Reynolds, all these new investors, maybe that could breathe a little bit of life into the organization. Who knows? That team is so up in the air all the time. If you look at last year, they were finishing anywhere from 17th to 4th at any given moment. Very hit or miss. Very hit or miss. Peaks and valleys with that team. So they just, I would say stability is something they need going into this year. Let's talk about
Aston.
Yeah, no news is good news with Aston for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where they're going to be at and stack up amongst the field coming into the beginning of this year because of how much they were able to leap ahead last year. I think, it's not going to be anywhere near as where they were a year ago, but
I wouldn't be shocked if they came out of the gates. That's why I mean, like, no news is good news. Like, they haven't made giant changes to their car at least by the launch standards. And when I say that, I mean, like, these aren't like you said in the beginning, these aren't what we may see on track. Like, Red Bull basically used a show car at their launch last year just to display the livery, right? This doesn't mean that this is going to be the car that we see. Could be, could not be. Aston Martin could show up with some tricks up their sleeve, and this new facility that they've got could be cranking out an absolute beast. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that last year they were struggling with upgrades and that like they weren't able to actually make changes that helped improve the car. So
they downimproved their car. Remember, they put upgrades on it and it made shit worse.
Yeah, so how much improvement they're going to be able to make from last year, I don't feel very confident that they will.
Who knows? I could see them just being like a middle of the pack team, which is kind of where they belong. Now let's get to the new kid on the block, the renamed kid on the block, the adopted team, Stake F1, who we thought might be the worst team name in F1 history when they announced that it was going to be Stake F1 team. Stake, the gambling company, right?
Yeah, it's pretty.
We thought
pretty lame.
We thought that would be the worst team name in F1 history. And then they did their car launch. In terms of body and everything, I don't really know what to make of it because the Alfa Romeo last year wasn't much to write home about to begin with. So, like, what changes they made, I don't know. But I will say this might be, in terms of livery, this might be my favorite. It's not very pretty. It's got big, bulky lines. But it's predominantly bright green. And I like that. And talking
it's predominantly black.
Huh?
It's predominantly black.
Well, black, you're right. It is predominantly black, but the color scheme, the actual color of it, without the black,
green,
the paint that they have on it is bright green. So when I'm talking about my Crayola crayon box, that's what I'm talking about, Steak. Good on you. Like, if you're looking at it down the middle, you see a lot of green because the front nose, the front wing, and then the intake and the rear wing are all green, which is what you see looking dead on. The rest, the side pods, the floorboards, the barge boards, all that black. But I like the boldness of it. Kick, Stake, Sauber, F1. Congratulations. Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's just going to continue to call them Sauber. So,
yeah, I can see that. Or, I mean, Steak is fine. It sounds weird because you think of beef, but it's actually just, it's steak as in steaks, like not like high stakes.
Yeah. Did you see how in some of the races they'll have to change the name of the team to Kick F1 team?
Yeah, because of gambling legalities in Europe, right?
Yeah. In a couple different countries, like they're not able, it's either like they're not registered as a casino or gambling entity or something along those lines, and
because it's online, right?
It's
an online company. It's like an offshore gambling company. That could be completely out of pocket. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a complete it's just
it's a cloud-based
gambling site.
Gambling.
Yeah.
Moving on to who might be the actual worst named F1 team in the history of the sport.
All time.
So last season, we said goodbye to the team 2 years in a row named AlphaTauri. They got a sponsorship deal with two different companies as they move back towards a closer concept to their sister team, Red Bull Racing. Came up with no team names. Just went straight sponsorship, and they are Visa Cash App RB.
The most confusing thing about the whole thing is that in the beginning of this, they said that they wanted to do a complete rebranding of the team, start from scratch, and then they base the whole new color scheme and livery off of the Toro Rosso team, which was their original roots.
It's basically a relic of the Toro Rosso cars, of that color scheme. It's almost like when a team, like a hockey team, does a throwback night and they have like a third alternate jersey that they wear that's like a rendition of an old jersey. It's that exact same idea because it just looks like a different version of an old Toro Rosso car. It looks like a sugar-free Red Bull. And I don't hate it. I love the old Toro Rosso car. I love the old Toro Rosso liveries. It's nice to see it back on the grid, that like light metallic blue with the silver. Again, different colors. I love. This fucking team name, though. To this day, you and I have been arguing it since it was first announced. Not on the pod, but we've been talking about it, just you and I. I'm not convinced that this is going to be the team name until round one in Bahrain. I will be saying that they're going to do an announcement that the actual team name is this, blah blah blah, and then they announce it. Because there was rumors that it was going to be Hugo Boss Bulls, Boss Bulls F1, Hugo Bulls, this and that, Adidas F1. But to go with Visa Cash App RB is just the lamest, unless it's just going to be a placeholder for a year. Man, that is lame. And they're going to spend, the next year or so working on the rebranding and continuing to find out what and who this team actually is. I just at least cross my fingers that this is just a ruse till they do the actual team announcement.
Well, that's what's so annoying about it is the new name of the team is Racing Bulls. Like on paper, it's called Racing Bulls. But in the name, it's Visa Cash App RB, which stands for Red Bull.
Right.
Not Racing Bulls.
When did they where did you see this on paper? Because I didn't hear about the Racing Bulls idea. Because that was one of the goofy names that I forgot to mention.
When they registered the team, it was Racing Bulls. Like that's the name of the organization that owns the team, based on the Flying Bulls, which was the Red Bulls like airplane organization, or like the organization that owns all
the Red Bull air races.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a nod to that, and so this. Okay, yeah, there's an opportunity to create a whole new brand, Racing Bulls. Do it under that. Do something new. But with the Toro Rosso tie-in, it's just so... And then the name is Visa Cash App Red Bull. It's just so confusing and just altogether just like doesn't seem very well thought out or planned out for it to be a complete rebrand, especially when you're making so much about wanting to create a new identity. This is not really anything to latch onto,
It's not a new identity. It's a re-identity. It's just going back to your old roots, like you already said. What do you expect from them this season? It's going to be a very tumultuous year for them, I think.
Yeah, I think, this is going to be the first year they've taken as many parts from the Red Bull as they have in the past. Mm-hmm. So their design going a little bit more in the direction of the RB19. They're going to have a new team principal over there. All signs point to big improvements on the car. So yeah, it's going to be a big year. I think for both the drivers, it's going to be kind of make or break.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Daniel Ricciardo has a chance to get his seat at Red Bull. I guess you could say Yuki Tsunoda probably has the same fighting chance. I don't know. Very interesting year for that team. Big transition. France tossed out. New team name. New driver starting a full year. And a brand new concept. Yeah.
Cool. McLaren, what do you think?
McLaren, I mean, livery or in general? Livery for me, it's literally... I'm kind of doing these like in abundance, like I'm talking, what I think about the car and the livery at the same time. The livery is basically the exact same thing as it was last year. No big changes there, which fine. You guys have other things to worry about. But big year for McLaren, I think. I think this is a championship fight for them.
Yeah, the momentum has been on their side. Trajectory is on the way up. This is going to be the first full season with the car being fully designed at their new facilities. Everything's been done in-house there, so it's going to be good.
Yep.
Let's see if they're going to be able to make it happen. Everybody's going to be watching. I think this is the team I'm watching the most through testing, just to see where they stack up.
They put Oscar Piastri on track today, too. I don't know if you saw that in Bahrain. They released that car. It was the first time that car got put on track. I didn't get to see a whole lot of it, just a couple little snippets on social media. I expect big things from both drivers and from the team. Like you said, they had all the momentum coming out of that season. If they can carry that and carry their tech advances that they made on the car into this season, both their drivers can lock in, especially looking at you, Lando. You need to stop gripping the steering wheel too tight. Fucking focus. This is a big, big year for McLaren. I think they're probably the number one contender.
Ferrari. I think Fred Vasseur said that they're going to have about 95% new components on this car.
It is a very, very different looking Ferrari this year. Not only is the livery a little bit different, they put they've got black carbon up along the side pods and two white and yellow stripes, which gives it a little bit of a different look. It's almost like a throwback to the Ferrari with an all-black wing. And then those side pods are not Ferrari side pods. Like, it does not look like what they've had for the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty close to what they had body style-wise last year. They're now the sole remaining team besides Haas that are using a pushrod suspension in the rear. So it's kind of seen by a lot of people that they're taking a little bit of a risk, keeping too much of their design from last year, thinking that could have been part of what was giving them the troubles in the race distance, dealing with their tire degradation and stuff like that. So it's another team. I'm going to be looking to see how it shakes down.
Look at Ferrari just fumble the bag again. If they just stick with this shit. I think the side pods look a lot different compared to, they don't have like the giant indent that their side pods have had for the past few years. It's more of one solid piece and more.
Yeah, not as bulbous.
Yeah, not as like big and rounded. It's more smoothed out. It honestly looks a little reminiscent to the Red Bull, but fatter.
Next in line, I think we got to talk about Mercedes. This is one of the cars that has the biggest amount of changes coming into this season. They finally addressed the seat position problem that Lewis was having, where he felt the seat was too far forward in the car and he wasn't able to get the proper feel in his rear tires. So coming in, not a whole lot of confidence that Mercedes is going to be able to shake this out, because they came in last year with a whole new concept, and then that.
Well, just really looking at this car,
we saw a change.
Just looking at this car, you can tell it's going to have at least hopefully a better start, because it's got side pods. It's got barge boards. It's got an undercarriage that actually has some aerodynamics to it, which their little pencil of last year's car design didn't have. And then they go back to the silver arrow look. So a little bit of a throwback to their heyday. Maybe that'll give them some good juju at least.
Yeah, they're going to need every bit of help they can get. It's going to be, I think, a tough year for them. There's going to be a lot of distractions with Lewis leaving in 2025. So
yeah, this is. I mean, if they go into this with like this completely new design and it doesn't work out, it's going to be a really rough year for them, because they had to ditch their design last year, go back to an older design, and then come into this season with a brand new design. Like, I'm looking at these side pods, and they have ventilation on the side pods.
Yeah, and like we were saying earlier, if they don't get it right this season, then they're most likely screwed for next season too. So
yeah, this could really be the downfall of Mercedes. And then now let's get into the Red Bull car. One of the weirdest launches in a long time.
Yeah, you and I both watched this live.
I watched little snippets of it. I kind of just caught the end of it. I didn't see a whole lot of it. It just felt, even had you not known what was going on, you were like, are they hiding something? It felt very like, let's not talk about the elephant in the room. Very X's and O's, very suit and tie.
Yeah, I mean, these things are always a little bit stuffy just because F1 is inherently a little bit stuffy, but like you could just tell like the looks on everybody's faces when they got to like a little break. It was just kind of like, how much longer is this going to be going on?
Yeah.
I just want to get out of here.
But they actually did a proper car launch, which some of the teams didn't even do. We didn't even mention, like, some of the teams just put out like videos. It was just like a clip instead of doing these big grandiose like reveals at the factory where they pulled the sheet off. Some teams were just like, here's a 30-second video. This is the fucking car, which that's fine. That's fine. That is more than cool with most F1 fans, I think. But Red Bull goes ahead, and they probably already had this event planned before Christian Horner got his allegations, so they can't cancel it.
Oh, yeah.
But, it was a little awkward.
And then they played that little video beforehand about how Red Bull's such a great team to work at, and it's such a great work environment, and everybody's friendly and inclusive, and it just felt like
they had thrown it together. Right away.
Within the week prior to it. So it was a little off. And then, of course, the delivery, no surprise there. They're gonna stick with the classic Red Bull look.
That is one team that you can count on not making any special changes unless it's going to be a one-off.
Which is fine.
The Japanese or
I'm fine.
Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. I want to see Red Bull do something bold. I do love, it's one of my favorite liveries in the game, is just like the classic Red Bull look. But I would like to see them take one just bold season and do something different. Like, unironically, like go black or go yellow or something like that. Like that'd be cool. Integrate their red or yellow a little bit more. But yeah, you said little side podless car, a little bit of a change in concept.
Oh
right?
yeah, and in terms of car evolution, Red Bull's amongst the cars that is doing the most changes. People saying that they removed the side pods, which is not true. And some of the renderings you can see, there's just like a little. They kind of moved where the inlet is for the cooling. It's just kind of like underneath where it used to be on like the actual like part of the side pod that stuck out. It was kind of like mounted on the top. Now it just looks like it's a little slit on the side. Yeah,
I noticed they didn't remove it. The shape of it changed a little bit. Like there's almost less flow to it. Like it's more of one solid piece. So,
it's closer to what the Mercedes. Like the one of the later evolutions of the Mercedes nose side pod. It kind of looks like that to me. And then the Red Bull, the front end's a little different. They extended the nose all the way out. So and it probably some other little nips and tucks here and some of the aero stuff and a little bit of suspension. So
yeah, the good news is like for that team, you have to trust in Adrian Newey, right? Adrian Newey has to know what he's doing. He's the greatest of all time. If he's wrong, you just go back to the RB19. You're still within that same regulation window. You just go back to the RB19 and you're still going to be faster than everybody. So Red Bull's kind of like in a win-win either way.
Yeah. Hey, VCARB, but we need those parts back.
Bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, biggest prop, biggest flop.
My biggest prop has to go to... My biggest prop is going to go to steak. Just because it's green. Straight up. Just because it's green. Bring in a new color to the grid. That team's probably going to be terrible. Alfa Romeo was borderline terrible. I don't expect any real changes just because you got two new title sponsors.
But
props on bringing neon green to the grid. That's fun.
I was gonna say big props to McLaren because I'm a big fan of keeping your plans hidden, keep them close to the chest, make everybody guess what you're going to be showing up with.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
They're playing poker over there. My biggest flop is going to go to Haas. No real changes to the livery, no real changes to the car, no real changes to the team other than the fact that they got rid of their one shining light. So, flop, Haas.
I'm with you all the way there.
Cool. All right, is that it?
Cool. Yeah, so next week we will be talking about the testing that's happening within the next few days. So be making some notes, looking forward to that. And then after that, we're into round one, baby.
Yeah, dude. We are less than 2 weeks out, or are we exactly 2 weeks out?
2 weeks.
Damn, son. We're getting close. F1 is upon us.
It's weirdly, the first few races are on Saturdays this year.
Really? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So round one is on a Saturday.
What the freaking heck? Okay. Well, that's news to me.
So,
didn't see a tweet. Didn't get a. I didn't get a call from the FIA to clear that with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Cheers.
Peace.